Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating period, the 19th century in India, often called its Renaissance.
Exactly, a time of huge social and cultural shifts.
And if you're listening, you probably want to get a handle on this pivotal era, understand the key players and ideas without getting bogged down. That's what we're aiming for.
Absolutely. There were so many movements, so many important figures reshaping things. It can seem a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, but we'll try to pull out the core insights for you, focus on what really drove the changes.
It was a period of intense questioning, wasn't it? Challenging old traditions, bringing in new ideas about society, culture, everything, really.
Definitely. And I think the best place to start has to be Raja Rammohan Roy. He's often called the father of this Indian Renaissance.
And rightly so. He was such a complex figure, patriot, scholar, humanist, really all rolled into one.
Born back in 1772 in Bengal. And his intellectual background is just, well, staggering.
It really is. Think about it. Mastery of Sanskrit, Hindu philosophy from Varanasi, then Persian, Arabic, the Quran from Patna.
And that's not all. He also knew English, Latin, Greek, Hebrew. I mean, the sheer range is incredible.
It gave him such a unique perspective, didn't it, to look at Indian society and, well, global ideas.
And he used that perspective to fight against some truly awful social practices. Sati, for instance.
Sati. The practice of forcing widows onto their husbands' funeral pyres, it's just barbaric to even think about.
Absolutely horrific. But Roy didn't just condemn it. He actually organized a movement against it.
A sustained, organized campaign, and that effort was absolutely crucial in getting Governor General William Bentinck to pass the law banning it in 1829.
And that's huge because it's seen as the first really successful social movement against a major entrenched evil in India.
A landmark achievement, no question.
And he didn't stop there, did he? He also took on polygamy.
Right, having multiple wives, and child marriage, female infanticide, killing baby girls, and the whole caste system. He saw all these as holding India back.
Just fundamental barriers to progress.
And alongside the social reform, his work in education was just as vital. He was one of the earliest voices pushing for modern Western-style education.
He saw it as a tool, right? A tool for progress, for opening minds.
Precisely. And he practiced what he preached. He was involved in founding Hindu College in Calcutta, which became Presidency College later on.
He even put his own money into starting an English school, didn't he?
Yes, and he established Vedanta College, too, trying to blend Indian and Western learning. That was quite forward thinking.
And he understood that you needed vernacular languages, too, not just English. Education had to be accessible.
Another key part of Roy's work was his advocacy for monotheism within Hinduism.
Right. He believed the ancient texts like the Vedas and Upanishads actually supported the idea of one God.
Yeah, he argued that polytheism and idol worship were later corruptions. So to prove his point, he actually translated the Vedas and 5 key Upanishads into Bengali,
making them available for people to read themselves. He even wrote a book in Persian, Gift to Monotheism.
His goal wasn't really to start a new religion, though. It was more about reforming Hinduism, bringing it into the modern age, stripping away what he saw as the problems.
Which leads us to the Brahmo Samaj.
Exactly. It started as the Atmiya Sabha around 1815 and then evolved into the Brahmo Samaj. It was basically a society founded on reason, on the philosophy of the Vedas as he interpreted them.
Key principles being things like human dignity, criticizing idol worship, denouncing sati.
All those social evils he fought against. It really was an early sign of a rising national consciousness and a direct challenge to the rigidity of the caste system.
There's that great quote from Rabindranath Tagore.
Oh yes, about Roy being the only person in his time anywhere who fully grasped the significance of the modern age. It really speaks volumes about his vision.
And the Brahmo Samaj didn't just fade away after Roy. Debendranath Tagore, Rabindranath's father, stepped in.
That's right. Debendranath gave it new life, really helped shape it into a distinct religious and social community.
He also founded the Tattvavotini Sabha in 1839, specifically to spread Roy's ideas and promote the study of India's past.
Yes, through a Bengali magazine as well. And the Samaj under him kept pushing for reforms, widow remarriage, ending polygamy, women's education, general social betterment.
So, while the Brahmo Samaj was doing its thing, there was another really energetic movement happening in Bengal too, the Young Bengal movement.
Ah, yes, Young Bengal. Very different flavor, but also incredibly influential. Very much about rationalism, challenging tradition.
Led by Henry Louis Vivian Derozio, right? A teacher at Hindu college. This was mainly in the 1820s and 30s.
Exactly. They were all about rational thought, secularism, pushing for Western education, social reform.
And also a growing political awareness, which is interesting.
Definitely. Derozio inspired a whole group, people like Mohan Banerjee, Taratran Chakraborty, Sib Chandra Deb. They were quite radical for their time.
And even though the movement itself was maybe shorter-lived, its impact on sort of laying the groundwork for modern Indian nationalism was pretty significant. It really shook things up.
It absolutely did. Now, if we shift our gaze northwards, we find another major reform movement taking shape, the Arya Samaj.
Right, based in northern India. Also aiming to reform Hinduism, but maybe with a different emphasis.
A somewhat different approach, yes. Founded by Swami Dayanand Saraswati, born in Gujarat, 1824, into a Brahmin family.
And apparently he started questioning idol worship really young, like at age 14.
Yeah, quite a rebellious streak early on. He left home, spent about 15 years as a wandering ascetic, studying Hindu scriptures deeply. By the 1860s, he started preaching his message, one God.
And he was pretty critical of contemporary Hindu practices.
Very critical. He slammed what he saw as meaningless rituals, polytheism, idol worship, and especially the caste system. He wanted to purify Hinduism, take it back to its roots.
Which brings us to his famous slogan, back to the Vedas.
Precisely. He believed the Vedas held all the essential divine knowledge, the answers to social problems. And crucially, he argued the Vedas didn't support things like untouchability, child marriage, or the subjugation of women.
So his opposition to those practices came directly from that interpretation.
Exactly. He also started the Shuddhi movement.
Ah, the reconversion movement, for those who'd converted to Islam or Christianity.
That's the one. And to get his message out widely, he used Hindi for his talks and writings. His main work, Satyarth Prakash, became hugely important for the Arya Samaj.
But Samaj itself was founded in Bombay in 1875. And it made big contributions, particularly in education, didn't it?
Huge contributions. After his death, his followers set up the Dayanand Anglo-Vedic schools, DA schools, starting in Lahore, then spreading, and also Gurukuls, which were more traditional Vedic schools.
And its influence was strongest in the North UP, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Punjab.
Primarily, yes. And while it wasn't explicitly political, like the Brahmo Samaj, it definitely fostered a strong sense of nationalism, of pride in Indian heritage, but a reformed version of it.
Okay, so let's swing back towards Bengal again and talk about Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa.
Ramakrishna. A very different kind of figure. A great modern saint, you could say. Born poor, Brahmin family, deeply religious from childhood.
Not formally educated in the Western sense, but known for his incredible wisdom, right? Delivered through his discourses as a priest at the Kali temple near Calcutta.
Absolutely. People from all walks of life were drawn to him. And his outlook was incredibly liberal, very universal.
That idea of Sarva Dharma Samabhava, all religions leading to the same goal.
Exactly. He saw the underlying unity, different paths, same God, and he deeply believed that serving humanity was serving God.
He had a knack for explaining really complex ideas simply, didn't he?
He did. His own path involved renunciation, meditation, devotion, but his message was very accessible.
And his most famous disciple, who really took that message global, was Swami Vivekananda.
Narendranath Tagore, originally, born in Calcutta, 1863. Unlike Ramakrishna, he was formally educated at Scottish Church College, knew Western philosophy well, very sharp intellect.
But meeting Ramakrishna when he was about 18 changed everything for him.
A complete transformation. After Ramakrishna died, Vivekananda became a sannyasi, a monk, and dedicated his life to spreading the message.
But he adapted it, right,
Yeah.
for the times, for modern Indian society.
Yes, he took the core, the oneness of religions, service, but also strongly condemned the caste system, meaningless rituals, superstitions. He wanted a dynamic, socially conscious Hinduism.
He knew Hindu philosophy inside out, traveled everywhere.
And then, of course, there was Chicago, 1893, the Parliament of World Religions.
His speech there was legendary.
Yeah.
Really put Hinduism and Vivekananda himself on the world map. A huge moment.
Absolutely massive impact. But beyond these really central figures and movements, the 19th century had so many other important voices contributing to the ferment.
Like Debendranath Tagore, for instance. We mentioned his father, but Tagore himself was monumental.
Monumental is the word. First non-European Nobel laureate in literature in 1913. He was this incredible bridge between Indian and Western culture. Influenced everything, literature, music, art, a key figure in modernism.
And such a broad philosophy, humanist, universalist, internationalist, but also a nationalist.
And in terms of literature, he really broke the mold in Bengali, moving away from rigid styles, using more modern prose, even colloquial language. Huge impact.
We should also touch on the reform movements among Muslims. They started a bit later, generally.
Yeah, there was often an initial apprehension, a fear that Western education might erode religious identity.
But efforts did begin. Like the Mohammedan Literary Society, founded by Nawab Abdul Latif in 1863.
Right, an early effort in Calcutta to promote modern education and discuss social issues within the Muslim community.
But the really big one was the Aligarh Movement, led by Syed Ahmad Khan.
Sir Syed, yes, lived 1817 to 1898. He came from an influential background, worked with the British, and basically realized that Muslims needed to adapt to engage with Western education and government service to progress.
So he actively pushed for that.
Very actively. He set up the Scientific Society in 1864 to translate English works, especially science, into Urdu. Started a journal, too, promoting modern ideas and social reform.
And his crowning achievement was the college at Aligarh.
The Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, yes, which became Aligarh Muslim University. Hugely important in fostering a modern outlook.
And he tackled social issues, too, like purdah, polygamy.
He did. He argued against the strict purdah system, against polygamy, easy divorce practices. He advocated for a rational interpretation of the Quran.
But interestingly, his political stance was different. He advocated cooperation with the British.
Yes, he believed that was the best path for Muslim interests at the time and actually advised Muslims not to join the Indian National Congress, which was just emerging.
Fascinating. And there were movements in other communities, too, right? Sikhs, Parsis.
Briefly, yes. Among Sikhs, the Singh Sabha movement gained traction later in the century, aiming to restore Sikh teachings and promote education. Among Parsis, you had the Parsi Religious Reform Association from 1851, challenging orthodox practices.
And crucially, we absolutely have to talk about the women reformers who emerged.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Despite facing enormous barriers, women stepped up as powerful voices for change.
Pandita Ramabai comes to mind immediately. Highly educated, traveled widely.
And wrote so powerfully about gender inequality in India. She founded the Arya Mahila Sabha and the Sarda Sadan, a home for destitute widows, giving them education and support. Really pioneering work.
Incredible. And then there's Sarojini Naidu.
The Nightingale of India. A renowned poet, yes, but also a fiery orator for nationalism and a tireless social worker. She campaigned hard for women's suffrage, was key in the All India Women's Conference. A major political figure, too.
Just amazing figures. And finally, the role of the press in all this.
Can't overestimate it. Newspapers, journals, they became the vehicles for spreading all these reformist ideas, for making demands social, economic, political. The press was a massive catalyst for change.
So, wrapping this all up, this 19th century Renaissance, what are the big takeaways?
Well, you see the modernization of language and literature, especially Bengali. You see this rediscovery, maybe sometimes an idealization of India's classical past, building national pride.
You also see the undeniable influence of Western ideas, rationalism, humanism, even comparisons to the Protestant Reformation in challenging religious authority.
But it wasn't just about going back, was it? It was about forging a new path forward. A vision of progress, often secular, looking towards a kind of golden age in the future, not just the past.
And the impact of all these figures, all these movements, it fundamentally shaped modern India.
Absolutely. The foundations for so much of today's India, its social fabric, its political thought, its cultural identity, were laid down in this incredibly dynamic century.
So maybe a final thought for you, our listener. Looking back at all these different currents, the Brahmo Samaj, Arya Samaj, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Aligarh, Young Bengal, which one do you think ultimately had the most lasting, deep-seated impact on Indian society? Or how do these echoes from the 19th century still play out today?
Yeah, something to think about. It's such a rich and complex legacy.